Hello, my name is Bryce, and this is my channel Striving Intellect. And today we're going to talk about political agitators, and in particular, foreign political agitators. And real quick, I just have a video pulled up of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, talking about student visas.
Let me just send this message out. If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot.
Absolutely has a point. So the idea that somebody is going to come into the country as a guest, whether it's on a student visa or whatever, regular green card, visa, whatever it is, and be a political agitator is absolutely absurd. And any country on earth would want to do something about it. So the premise of unfairly being taken out of a university, if you are a political agitator in a country where you should be on your best behavior, you are a guest, is completely reasonable. The thing is, we have enough political agitators who are American citizens already. We don't need more. We don't need people to come here and push their politics and try to change our politics. It is unnecessary. We have enough political agitation already. But I'll go on and I'll read some of this article. This is from the AP. Columbia University activist Mahmoud Khalil can be deported. Immigration judge rules. Columbia University graduate student Mahmoud Khalil can be forced out of the country as a national security risk. An immigration judge in Louisiana ruled Friday after lawyers argue the legality of deporting the activists who participated in pro-Palestinian demonstrations. And it doesn't matter what demonstrations you're participating in. It's absolutely absurd that you can come here and organize and start what is basically student protests and riots. Some of these different protests took over buildings and forced students to not go to school, which they paid for. So it's absolutely absurd that people would argue that you can just go to whatever country you want and be a political agitator. You do not have the right to do that. Absolutely not. So they actually arrested one of his associates, Columbia University associate of Mahmoud Khalil, arrested by the Department of Homeland Security. A Columbia University student who co-founded with Mahmoud Khalil a university organization called Palestinian Student Union was arrested on Monday by Department of Homeland Security. Muhsin Madali, a permanent resident of the U.S., that he's not a citizen, by the way, not a citizen, was arrested and detained after attending his naturalization interview in Vermont. U.S. District Judge William Sessions subsequently granted Madawi's attorney a temporary restraining order barring the government from moving Madawi out of District of Vermont, pending further orders from the court. And a district judge, I'm just going to note, by the way, should not necessarily be able to actually affect things across the whole entire country like that. It's a district judge. So there have been a lot of district judges that are basically making rulings that are affecting the executive branch. So the idea that whatever district judge it is, there's been multiple occasions, can have a universal ruling that affects the whole entire country like that is absolutely absurd and unconstitutional. Absolutely. I mean, there is nothing constitutional about that. The idea that a district judge has more power than the president of the United States is absurd. Absolutely absurd. So, following all of these rogue judges, the House passes to limit rogue judges from pausing Trump's executive actions. The House Republicans pass legislation on Wednesday aimed at limiting the reach of so-called rogue judges who have paused some of the Trump administration's executive orders from taking effect. The No Rogue Judge ruling act cleared the lower chamber in a 219 to 213 vote. I believe some Democrats actually voted with the Republican Party on that. But at least the House and the Senate are doing something about that. Because, again, it is absolutely unconstitutional to have an executive judge who thinks he has more power than or a district judge who thinks he has more power than the actual president of the United States. And obviously, there's other things that can happen. If these universities don't rein in some of their, I'll call them riots, some of their riots that they've had and demonstrations, then all of their funding will be pulled. All of their actual money that they get from the federal government isn't necessarily, like, it's taxpayer money. Their endowments will be seized if they do not cooperate. So, starting this out, this is on Ground News. Trump officials freeze $1 billion from Cornell University and $790 million from Northwestern. The Trump administration has frozen more than $1 billion in Cornell University and $790 million in Northwestern University while investigating alleged civil rights violations, according to the White House. Cornell University stated it received over 75 stop work orders from the Defense Department related to research that is profoundly significant to the American national defense, cybersecurity, and health. That's what Cornell says. Northwestern University reported that it has not received any official notifications from the federal government regarding funding cuts and learned about the situation through media reports. You don't necessarily have any right to our taxpayer money if you're going to allow political agitators to stop people from going to school, first of all. But even beyond that, the idea that foreign political agitators are coming and stopping people from actually going to school, which they pay for, is absurd. So they should pull their funding, seize their endowments. They are in the wrong. So here is an NBC News article. Trump administration freezes $2 billion after Harvard rejects demands. Administration's demands, including auditing viewpoints of student body and addressing anti-Semitism at the expense of federal funding. The federal government on Monday said it is freezing more than $2 billion in grants to the Harvard University after the school said it would not accept the Trump administration's demands, including auditing viewpoints of the student body. you know, if you're a citizen in the United States, you have the right to protest. And even beyond that, you could be a political agitator if you want. I hope you don't, but you can. But if you are a foreign student who's here as a guest in the United States, then you do not have the right to be a political agitator. You just don't. You cannot do that. So, I'm going to show a clip. This is actually from a university in Europe, it looks like. University of Amsterdam. So, let's just take a look at what political and foreign agitators look like when brought to the logical extreme. This is at a university protest. And it looks like actual madness. They're clubbing people over the head with 2x4s. These individuals are absolutely out of line. It's insane, and it looks like the security and police is doing absolutely nothing. The idea that you can have a bunch of political agitators in their university in Amsterdam clubbing their citizens and students with 2x4s is insane. This is absurd. And the idea that anybody would think that they just go into whatever country as a guest and attack people or riot is absurd. These judges will most likely have a lot of problems when some of these bills, if they pass, because the idea that you can prevent individuals that are political agitators that are from a different country from being deported is insane. Absolutely insane. But I just thought this was important. I hope you guys thought it was important too. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.